The crowd inside the America's Got Talent studio waited in complete silence. The stage lights dimmed, a golden shimmer spread across the stage floor, and then, a boy, barely 16, walked slowly into the spotlight. His clothes were simple yet clean, his eyes filled with calm confidence. But few in the audience knew that this boy wasn't ordinary. He was known back home as the richest Filipino teenager in Manila, the heir to a business empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And tonight, everyone was about to find out that money wasn't the only thing he had been blessed with. Because when he opened his mouth to sing, Hotel California, even Simon Cowell, known for his impossible-to-please standards, was left speechless. It all started months earlier in the Philippines. His name was Lucas de Vera, born into a family that owned resorts, airlines, and real estate across Asia. His father, Victor de Vera, was a well-known billionaire who believed in power, legacy, and reputation. But Lucas was different. He was quiet, kind-hearted, and never felt comfortable in the world of money and control. From a young age, he preferred spending time with the staff in the kitchens or the gardeners outside rather than attending formal dinners with politicians and CEOs. When he was 10, his mother passed away suddenly in a car accident. That moment changed everything for Lucas. He became withdrawn, spending hours in his mother's old piano room, the same place she used to play and sing to him before bed. Her favorite song was Hotel California. Every night before she tucked him in, she'd sing a few lines softly, "You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave." Lucas never understood the meaning of the lyrics then, but after her death, those words became his comfort, his connection to her memory. Despite his father's pressure to study business and prepare to inherit the empire, Lucas secretly began learning music. He watched YouTube tutorials, practiced guitar until his fingers blistered, and recorded covers on an old phone he kept hidden. His driver once caught him singing alone in the car and was so moved that he told one of Lucas's teachers, "If the boy ever performs on stage, the world will stop and listen." But Lucas's father was furious when he found out. "Music doesn't feed empires," he shouted. "You're a de Vera. Act like one." Yet no matter how harsh the scolding, Lucas couldn't stop. He didn't want fame or money. He wanted to feel close to his mother again, to the love that no wealth could replace. Months later, while attending school in Los Angeles, Lucas saw a poster for America's Got Talent auditions. He stood there, heart racing, staring at the sign. His mind told him to walk away, but his heart whispered, "This is your chance." That night, he submitted an online audition video of himself singing Hotel California, recorded in his dorm room under a single desk lamp. Weeks passed, and Lucas heard nothing. Then one afternoon, while sitting in a cafe near his school, he got an email. "Congratulations, you've been selected for the live auditions of America's Got Talent." He read it twice, trembling, unable to believe it was real. When he told his father, Victor's reaction was cold. "You're wasting your time. You're not one of those desperate kids chasing dreams. You have a company to run one day." Lucas stayed silent, then softly said, "Dad, you taught me that money can buy everything, but it can't bring Mom back. Maybe I need to do something that she would have loved." His father didn't reply, just walked out of the room. But that night, for the first time in years, Victor found himself standing outside the old piano room, listening to his son play. Weeks later, the big day came. Lucas arrived at the AGT stage in Los Angeles wearing a simple white shirt, dark jeans, and a small gold locket that held his mother's picture. The crew didn't know who he was. To them, he was just another hopeful kid with a dream. As he waited backstage, he watched other contestants performing, dancers, magicians, singers, and he began to doubt himself. What if Simon didn't like him? What if he forgot the lyrics? But then he remembered his mother's words, "When you sing, don't sing for applause. Sing for the hearts that need to hear you." The host gave him a nod, and the curtain lifted. The bright lights hit his face as he stepped onto the stage. The audience was huge, thousands of faces, cameras, and the 4 judges seated before him. Simon Cowell looked at him, curious. Heidi Klum smiled encouragingly. Sofia Vergara leaned forward, and Howie Mandel gave a friendly wave. Simon spoke first. "Hello, young man. What's your name?" "My name is Lucas de Vera," he said calmly. "And where are you from?" Simon asked. "I'm from the Philippines, sir," Lucas replied, his accent light but warm. Simon nodded. "Nice. And how old are you?" "I'm 16. 16, Simon repeated. "You look nervous, but confident at the same time. So tell me, Why AGT? Lucas took a deep breath. Because I lost my mom when I was 10. She loved this song I'm about to sing. I promised her I'd sing it on a big stage one day. The audience went silent. Even Simon's expression softened slightly. All right, Simon said, whenever you're ready. The music began, soft guitar chords echoing through the studio. Lucas closed his eyes, took a slow breath, and began to sing. His voice was smooth, hauntingly beautiful, and filled with a kind of pain that only someone who had truly loved and lost could express. On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair. Every note felt alive. It wasn't just singing, it was storytelling through sound. His tone carried both innocence and maturity. As he reached the chorus, the crowd began to cheer softly, then louder. People were crying. His voice cracked slightly at one point, but it wasn't weakness, it was emotion, raw and real. Simon leaned back, eyes fixed on the boy, not saying a word. Sophia wiped away a tear. Heidi held her hand over her heart. Lucas reached the final verse. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. He held the last note longer than anyone expected, letting it fade into silence. For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Then the entire studio erupted in applause. The audience rose to their feet, clapping, cheering, shouting his name. Simon looked down at the desk, then slowly stood up. He rarely did that. He walked toward the center of the judges' panel, eyes glistening. Lucas, he said softly, I don't say this often, but that was extraordinary. You didn't just sing a song. You reminded us what music is supposed to do, make people feel something real. And knowing your story, I think your mother would be incredibly proud of you. Lucas smiled, tears streaming down his face. He looked up toward the ceiling, whispering something under his breath. Heidi added, your voice, it's pure magic. You took one of the greatest songs in history and made it your own. I felt every word. Sophia said, you have everything, talent, humility, and heart. And I think this moment is going to stay with everyone watching. Howie leaned in. Lucas, you said you wanted to sing for your mom. I think you just did, and for all of us who've lost someone. The audience began chanting, golden buzzer. Golden buzzer. Simon looked at the other judges, then back at Lucas. He pressed the golden buzzer. The room exploded in a shower of golden confetti. Lucas fell to his knees, covering his face, crying as the crowd roared. The host ran on stage, hugging him. You did it, Lucas. You did it. Simon walked up to him. That was one of the most beautiful performances I've ever witnessed on this stage, he said. You reminded everyone tonight that it doesn't matter where you come from, rich or poor, loved or alone, music connects us all. The clip went viral overnight. Within hours, millions of people were watching the Richest Filipino Boy Sings, Hotel California video online. Some commented that his story was proof that even the privileged can have pain. Others said they hadn't cried that much in years. And for Lucas, it wasn't about fame. It was about finally keeping the promise he'd made to his mother. But the story didn't end there. After the show aired, his father watched the performance from his mansion in Manila. He sat alone in the same piano room his wife once played in. As the golden confetti fell on his son's face, Victor broke down crying for the first time in years. He realized that his son didn't need to inherit a business, he had inherited his mother's soul. A week later, Victor flew to Los Angeles unannounced. Lucas was rehearsing backstage when a producer tapped him on the shoulder. There's someone here to see you. He turned and saw his father standing there, holding a small velvet box. Victor walked up slowly and said, your mother gave this to me the day you were born. She said to give it to you when you made her proud. Inside the box was a small gold pendant shaped like a guitar. Lucas hugged his father tightly, both of them crying. I'm proud of you, son, Victor whispered. Not for being a De Vera. For being you. The semifinals came, and once again, Lucas sang from his heart. This time, he performed an original song called, Where the Wind Remembers, written for his mother. It began softly, with just a piano, then built into a soaring melody that left the judges speechless once more. When he finished, the entire audience shouted his name again. Simon stood and said, you're not just a singer. You're an artist. You've turned your pain into something beautiful, and that's what makes stars. Lucas didn't win the final season, but he didn't need to. The moment of his first performance became one of the most watched AGT clips of all time. He received invitations to perform around the world, but he chose to stay grounded. He started a foundation in his mother's name that provided instruments and music lessons for underprivileged Filipino children. In interviews, Lucas always said the same thing: "I may come from wealth, but music taught me what true richness means, having love in your heart." Years later, people still talk about that night, the richest Filipino boy who sang not to impress the world, but to heal it. The boy who stood alone under the golden light, singing Hotel California, reminding everyone that even when we lose the ones we love, their songs never leave us. And somewhere in the heavens, a mother smiled, proud that her little boy kept his promise. The stage lights fade. The crowd continues to cheer. And as the camera pans out, we hear the echoes of the lyrics once more, carried by a voice that proved money can't buy emotion, but emotion can touch eternity. That night, a billionaire's son became something far more powerful, an artist who reminded the world that love, loss, and music unite us all. The next morning, Simon Cowell posted a rare tweet: "Every once in a while, someone walks on that stage and reminds us why we do this show." Lucas de Vera is one of those people. The post broke records. Fans across the world called him the Filipino voice of gold. But for Lucas, none of that mattered. After every performance, he'd quietly return to his dressing room, open his mother's locket, and whisper, "We did it, Mom." He went on to record his own rendition of Hotel California, and when it was released online, it reached millions within days. But more than the views, people remembered the feeling, the emotion, the honesty. In a world obsessed with luxury and fame, Lucas proved that the richest person is the one who can touch hearts. And when Simon presented him with a Lifetime Achievement Award years later, Lucas dedicated it to every child who ever felt unheard, every soul who found healing in a song, and every parent watching from above. As he sang the final chorus one last time on a world tour stage, the crowd sang with him, thousands of voices joining together. And just like his mother's lullaby years ago, it echoed across generations. That was the legacy of Lucas de Vera, the richest Filipino boy who showed that the greatest treasure isn't gold, but love sung through a melody that never dies.